We're live. So we'll just wait like maybe 60 seconds, let some people roll in. But Victor, man, how you been today, dude?
Man, it's good. It's good. Yeah. Yeah. The team is crushing it. I'm not speaking to sellers myself, which
That's
is
the dream,
great.
right?
Well, I don't know. Maybe you like speaking to sellers. Maybe that's like your thing to do.
Dude. Well, do you like speaking to sellers?
Not anymore. Because
Right.
well, I mean, I used to do the sales calls, and
Uh-huh.
now then I kind of elevated myself, like being the manager, dealing with the problems, and now I'm more in the back, back of the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm pulled in to speak to a seller, it's mainly because there's problems.
Yep, I feel that. It's like, hey, look, I need you to go save this deal. You go
That's what
figure
it's
this
been.
thing out,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
Victor, so we got Victor on today. Victor is you're a beast, man. I'm honestly honored to have you on the podcast today. Get to hear your story and how you're able to do several $1 million in gross profits each year. So
Yeah. Yeah.
glad
We
to
did
glad to have
3.5 million last year. So yeah, it was
it.
awesome.
You guys hear that? That's kind of crazy, right? 3.5 is spectacular. So Victor, how'd you even get into real estate to get to this point you're at now?
Yeah. So do you know this country called Ukraine that's in the
I think
news
that one's
everywhere?
it's pretty popular right now. It's pretty
Yeah.
popular.
Yeah. So I'm actually from Ukraine. Um, I came here when I was, 91? Yeah, I was 6 years old. So I came as a refugee for the reasons that, what is it, refugee status? Um,
Hmm.
I think it was just religious persecution. So my family's,
Hmm.
we're Christians, and the KGB
Hmm.
sure did not like Christians. They had this thing called, like, if we're not in control, then no one else is not going to take control.
Hmm.
So my parents were like, okay, we're not having this. And it was divine. I mean, my dad got an amazing word at church, like saying, hey, you're going to go into a country that is not your own, and that will be your country. Or so no, you're going to go into a place that is not where you belong, but you will belong there. And my dad's like, what? What does that even mean? Like, talk about, like,
Like
cryptic
a
messages.
you
So
got a
it was
message in a
definitely,
bottle.
yeah, like, try to decipher that message. Well, how things turn out to be is, well, the whole KGB thing and communism fell during the time that we got out of the country. So that was amazing. This is what I'm saying, like, divine. Like,
Hmm.
we are here in the land of plenty, and to be like, oh my God, had we stayed, I don't know where we would be. Like, I have 5 brothers and 1 sister. That's 6 boys. What do you think? Are we would be in the military? You better
Yeah.
believe it, right?
Yeah.
So it's just divine how we got here. And so I come from humble beginnings. I came to this country on Section 8. I definitely grew up in the ghetto. I saw
Hmm.
bodies rolled out literally on stretchers. You know,
Jeez.
I would play with needles myself because I didn't know better. I mean, I was a kid.
Yeah. Where'd you move to when
But
you came to the States?
Washington State, yeah, Washington State, in the very, very poor neighborhoods of Washington State. Yeah. But by the grace of God, here I am. I slowly got out of that. I went to school to go into very related to real estate, called nursing. So I was a
Hmm.
nurse for 7 years. I did that, got my bachelor's degree, and I loved it. I mean, it was great. It was definitely a good job. It paid the bills, but it
Hmm.
wasn't something that I wanted to stay with. It's not that, like, nursing is bad. It's not. It's actually phenomenal. But I had an aspiration, a calling to do more. And what I do now, like, Chandler, I'm telling you, I've worked, like, 18-hour days. I'm constantly trying to better myself. And I don't find that to be work. It's so fulfilling. So I
Hmm.
transitioned into that. And the way it happened was very, very fun. so my little girl was, before she was born, my wife is pregnant. And I'm like, honey, I'm quitting my job. She's like, are you doing what? I'm like, I'm quitting my job. I put my notice in. I'm going to be, quitting my job in a couple of months. My wife is like,
So you told your
freaking
boss
out.
you told your boss you're quitting before you told your wife.
Not really. I mean, I knew I was going to quit. I already set the date. I'm like, this is the day I'm going to quit. And
Yeah.
my wife is like, you know what? I've seen you do this. I've seen you, take 12-hour shifts, come home,
Hmm.
work 4 hours, sleep 4 hours, and repeat the whole thing over again. So
Hmm.
I was very, determined to make it
Yeah.
happen. And
Yeah.
the thing is, Chandler's like, where focus goes, energy flows. So
Hmm.
as soon as I quit my job, got into a full time, I got two monster deals, one for 60,000, one for 40,000, and it was because I was able to quit. Um,
It allowed you to have that freedom to find it.
yeah,
Because a little bit of a history between me and Victor. We played golf for an entire day together, so we got to
yeah.
chop it up on a golf cart and hit the double bogeys and together, right? But Victor, you were doing a little bit of wholesaling or real estate before you quit as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Probably skipped ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess maybe a little bit before that. So, here I'm like, okay, how do I make more money? And I wanted to first become a doctor. And I was like, getting to that, I was about to, getting to that universe. Literally, it is its own planet.
Yep.
I was going to get my pre med requisites done, and after I did that, my my wife is like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I'm like, "I do want to do this." But then I started questioning myself, like, "Okay, hold on a second. Um, my days are only studying. My days are always busy. I see doctors at the hospital constantly working all the time. Do I
Hmm.
really want this lifestyle?" And I finally came to my teachers. I'm like, "Hey guys, I don't want this lifestyle." And my teachers are like, "Why are you telling me this? You can't quit. You have to go. Like, you have really good grades. There's no reason for you to flunk out or to
Yeah.
drop this." Because I mean, yeah, if you had bad grades, absolutely make that decision. But you have like an A minus right now, so your GPA. Why would you do that? But I was like, this is not right for me. And just going back to nursing, I tried to do what's called a nurse anesthetist, where you are
Hmm.
like a anesthesiologist, but from a nursing perspective. That didn't
Hmm.
work out. I tried the ICU. That didn't work out. And then I was like, man, I really want to make money. I really want to make like a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
Can't
I
blame
got
you.
into real estate. Right. Yeah, I got into real estate. So once I did the research, I would go to RIAs, I would network with people. I'm like, man, how do I make money? And then I heard about wholesaling. I'm like, okay, this is it. I'm going to wholesale 3 houses. And after I do that, I'm going to get into flipping. And everybody's like, you got to start somewhere. Wholesaling is it.
Hmm.
So I was, getting into that, working it, um, and I wasn't getting into flipping. And so the other thing just comes like, okay, well, if I'm not going to get into flipping, what I'm going to do? This is supposed to be a starting step into my, real estate career. And it's all about, once again, it's all about energy, focus, and I put all of my focus into wholesaling. Everybody around me was like, you know what, wholesaling isn't scalable. You can't do much with wholesaling. And I was kind of believing that. I was like, okay, I gotta, wholesale to get into flipping, wholesale into get
Hmm.
flipping. So I did. I got into flipping, and that didn't work.
Yeah.
Um, but sorry, jumping ahead. But
You're good.
yeah, so I did my first deal. I
Hmm.
partnered up with my current business partner because we were doing the same thing. We're like
Hmm.
marketing the same people, mailing the same thing. We're like, this is a waste of time. So
Yeah.
let's just put our efforts together and do business together. So we did. We partnered up, got a joint venture going, and we were just really good energy. I think we're probably the best example of how to get into partnership, because a
Hmm.
lot of times you probably hear like this guy's like, "Hey, you seem like a good dude. So do you. Let's be business partners." It's like,
Yeah.
you just got married in a matter of seconds, right? Because that's what a business partnership. It's a business marriage, right? So we did it the right way. We got to know each other before we actually, quote unquote, signing on the dotted line.
Hmm.
We courted each other. We would check up on each other, see how each other were doing, making sure we were compatible, right? What skill sets I had, what skill sets he had, and did they actually add towards the goal that we were after? And
Hmm.
we did. We got that going, and slowly over time, we built this thing up. I would go on appointments as a closer, and he would. You can hear my kids. But, um,
It's all good, bro.
uh, So yeah, he did the acquisition role, I did the dispo role, and then we both did the acquisition role while I did the dispo role.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just kind of just really getting in our own way. We were
Mm-hmm.
just, doing too many things at once, and we just needed structure. Just like, I'm gonna close that door.
Do it. So I think Victor hit on a really key point right there. Is like it's a lot of people who talk about the squatting up and doing deals together, and I think Victor made the perfect point. Is JV together before you guys sign up and create an LLC and start running everything through that, because when you do
Right.
that, things get a lot more difficult. And really the concept is just date before you get married, right? So
Yeah.
see what people are like when things get hard. See what people are like when things are good. When you have to make tough decisions, and you'll get, it's like when you date a girl, do you propose on the first date? Not normally,
No, it's
not unless you're
terrible.
super.
This is not reality TV. Yeah, we don't want to do
This
that.
isn't The
And
Bachelor.
I mean, yeah, if you were, I mean, there's definitely people that do really good in a business partnership, and there's other people that are just terrible at it. And you got to be able to differentiate between the two. And the only way to do that is treat it like like you're dating somebody. Treat like, hey, are we compatible? Can we actually work together? Because the worst thing to do is have a bunch of assets and then get into a fight. Be like, all right, let's divorce, right? And divorce is always messy. So you don't
And it's
want to,
expensive.
yeah, very expensive. So you want to make sure you're getting into the right partnership. Because I have a whole list. I literally have a list of saying these are my criterias that I have to meet in order for me to even to consider someone to be a partner. And it's pretty
Yep.
extensive. It's not immediate. It'll take you about 9 months to 12 years for me to vet you. Yeah, I'm pretty thorough because I take it very seriously.
Yeah, it's super important. So that's definitely a lot of wisdom that Victor is dropping to anyone out there who's JVing or grouping up with other people to get their first deal, or to even just to do some deals in general. Um, Another thing I want to hit on, Victor, is you're grinding for a really long time, working, like you said,
Right.
super long hours, 16-hour days, wholesaling on the side. What was that like transition? Like if someone's in the same spot, like in a W-2 job, they're making solid money and they're trying to do this on their own on the
Yeah.
side. Like, what's the kind of advice that you would give to that person? They
Yeah.
haven't quit yet, of course.
So what I would do is don't quit. Do not quit. Of all the things that people say, don't quit. Why is in the beginning you want to figure stuff out. You got to know how to do the thing that you're doing. You have to have a proof of concept first. Period. Because if you quit and you don't have a proof of concept, it's way riskier. I'm not saying you can't, but I'm just saying on a risk perspective, it's way higher risk because you're gonna have to figure things out. Period. So might as well have some kind of safety net to say, hey, I'm still learning the process. I need to figure this stuff out before I go deep into it. So what I would say is do it only for long enough for you to learn the process so that you can quit. But don't have this analysis paralysis of of overstaying your welcome, right? Because if you're already having those thoughts and you're working somewhere else, guess what? You're probably not focusing on the job that you're having, right? So just keep that aware. Is you want to be a person of character, of values, and you don't want to steal someone else's time, right? That's not fair to whoever is employing you. So if you do have a job, do not steal their time so that you can learn this business. That's not fair to them. So, and that's what I'm saying is do this long enough to learn wholesaling, to learn real estate so you can jump ship, right? And what I mean is you're going to have to figure out for yourself what that actually means of long enough. So for
Yeah.
me, my thing was this. I got people who are, intaking my leads. I got a marketing channel. I had like 60,000 in the bank. So I had something, right, to go off of versus absolutely nothing. So that was
Mm-hmm.
my quote unquote safety net. And I gave myself 3 to 4 months of like, okay, this is your runway of 3 to 4 months, make it happen. Right. And I took that leap. So you have to take that leap because if you have one foot in the door and one out the door constantly between two jobs, you are in this purgatorium of like, where do I go from here? You can't really make massive changes until you make one decision. Hey, I'll stay with this job and give it all I got, or hey, I got to jump ship. I know enough. I have a little bit of a safety net, and bam, I'm going to devote my time and attention to doing this because I already have a proof of concept. And so I would say proof of concept to me would be is I'm doing at least 1 to 2 deals consistently over 6 months. That is proof of concept, right? One deal, 2 deals is not proof of concept. You got to do it at least 6 months to be like, hey, this is how I do business.
Yeah. So like do several deals. Know like if I do this action, I'm gonna get leads. If I do this, I'm gonna get appointments. If I do this, I'm gonna make offers and be able to get contracts. Right. And like I understand the steps. I understand what it looks like if things come up, and I can go and make it happen. So I like that.
Yeah,
that's great advice. So you said that whenever you did quit, it allowed you to get 2 massive deals because you jumped out from in between the doors. So what was like kind of like once you did that and you'd already met up with, it was Alex, correct? Your partner, and you guys start doing it. So you got some deals coming in, you have proof of concept, you have all this stuff up. Like what's next for you guys?
So you mean after I quit my job? Is that right?
Yeah, I guess like, once you basically, after you quit your job, you got a couple big deals because you're able to focus on the revenue generating activities. And once you got those 2 big checks, I guess it was time for you guys to start team building moving forward.
Yeah.
Is that kind of like your next progression? Like where did y'all head from there?
Well, really the next step is really to stack cash, right? You're not, at least for me, I'm not into the game of making money, buying Lambos, fancy cars, fancy clothes, the bling life. That's not what I'm after. I'm after legacy. So I know what I want in life. A legacy to me means it is bigger than me. This is so much greater than what I can become. This has its own beast now. It's almost its own human being. So that's where I'm kind of constantly thinking. And to that point of doing those 2 deals, had I stayed at the job, I'm telling you, there's no way I would have gotten those deals because I went in person, I spoke to the people, I got it under contract, I was able to facilitate that deal to a close. There's no way I could have done that working 12-hour shifts. Just not going to happen. So that's the power of allowing you to focus on your business. It'll enable opportunities, right? But but after I quit, it wasn't like roses. It was a long freaking road, dude. It was some scary times. We actually got to a point where like, okay, let's we got, a month and a half, 2 months of worth of cash. Are we going to go out of business? Hey, what are the jobs available? Right. We definitely had that moment, but
what do you think like kind of puts you guys in that situation to where you're at 2 months cash, you're not completely strapped, but you are getting to the danger zone. So what put you there?
And we didn't know what we didn't know, right? So we were doing just Facebook, Google, and SEO. That's the only marketing channels that we're doing. So we're riding this wave, and we didn't really have the best processes down to answer those highly motivated leads. So we were like being inefficient with that. Those are gold, man. Those are gold leads. You should be closing, at least like 1 out of 10 with those leads, or actually less than that. If it's in person, it'd probably be like 1 out of 4. And we were closing like at 1 out of 14. So we didn't have our sales process down. Number 2 is we didn't have a robust marketing plan. So because those channels were so inconsistent, like, hey, you got leads up, great, but the next month they went down. And so we were riding that wave every single time. We didn't have like a cold calling or a texting channel to offset that, right? So
like the slow and steady.
Yeah, so you can have, so if this channel goes down, you have another channel and be like, okay, I could offset that. We didn't have that. And so that, the inefficiencies in the sales process and the inefficiencies in marketing led us to that, almost breaking point. But right after that, we had 3 months where I closed myself 13 deals and we made $350,000, which was like, at the time was like the most we ever made. I was like, oh my God,
that's awesome.
350 is actually like, if we don't make that per month, we're freaking out. right?
Yeah, you're losing money soon.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
not soon, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So on that point, like where you said like inconsistencies in marketing, did you think it was like inconsistencies on marketing? Because I know you also touched on like conversion from lead to contract, because we also struggled with this, like our sales
Yeah.
conversion at one point, where everything sucks if you can't close deals. Like you could be a terrible marketer if you can't close deals, but you could be an amazing marketer if you're really good at sales. So like, do you think it was a mixture of both, like just the waves, or do you think it was also like kind of you hit on the sales process, like?
I think marketing is not the problem. Like I think
Mhm.
most of our problems is not marketing. If we can get people through the door, we have an opportunity. Period. So it just becomes okay. Well, you should be closing 1 out of 10. If you're not, what are you closing? Right? If it's 1 out of 15 or 1 out of 20, it's not a marketing problem. It's a conversion problem. So
Yeah.
conversion means multiple things. Conversion means is how are you running your sales department? How are you coaching your team? Are you providing the right training process? Are you reviewing their calls? Or sales processes mean, okay, what do your dispositions model look like? Who's your investors list? We call it investors list, not buyers list. Who are
Mhm.
the investors you're talking to? What's the relationship that you have with them? How do you dispo deals? So that wasn't dialed in, right? Like you said, if you
Mhm.
have amazing acquisitions and dispo, you're like, oh, my marketing's the best, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because
Yeah,
it makes up for it. So,
yeah.
because how did you kind of deal with the belief, like, or did you even have this belief of going from just like hustling to deciding, like, how do I put process in place? Like, what is this process thing you speak of? Like, how did you
Yeah.
internalize that?
Yeah, I mean, we were shooting a round of golf, and I told you my problems. Thank you for listening. Right now, I mean, that's the next hurdle that we have to overcome. And unfortunately, I wish we would have taken our own advice several months back, because right now, yeah, we do have a process, but it's not documented, right? It's like
Hmm.
here, and
Hmm.
that's not where it needs to live. That's not a company. That's a hobby,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So we're right now in the process of well, actually, let me ask you this: do you know the difference between processes and procedures? Because I just figured it
Um,
out.
for me, yes, I do. But I will let you, since you just figured it out, let's educate everyone. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so it's very simple. Process is a map. A procedure is a document, right? And a procedure follows the map. That's
Hmm.
it. Simple as that. And that's what you have to do. So you have to say, okay, what does a map look like? So first, write it out. Make sure the flow is correct. It's not like
Hmm.
all over the place. It's synchronized. Then create a procedure of how to do that process.
Yep.
So that's where we're at right now. But really,
Yep.
how we kind of got out of our own ways is because of coaching. We had a coach that just really is like, hey guys, you're still in the sales seats. Like, let's think about not being in those seats. We're like, what? No, we're the best. We closed 1 out of 14. No one can do better than us. Well, lo and behold, we hired an amazing sales talent, and she
Uh-huh.
closed 1 out of 7. That was a humble pie. That was a humble
So,
pie.
so I think this is contrary to most people's belief. You hired someone and they was better than you, and
Yeah.
that's, to me, that's like a crazy idea that's even like possible. That's amazing.
Well, I
So,
mean, think about it. We all have our skill sets. For me, my skill
mhm,
set is I'm a visionary, right?
mhm,
I will adapt to what the challenges to meet that challenge, right? And the challenge was
mhm,
like I got to close deals, and so I wasn't the best at it, but I definitely
mhm,
made it work until um, it worked for us. But doesn't mean you need to sit in that seat, right? So we found someone who has that personality. They loved sales. They loved being over the phone,
mhm,
and they thrive on that. I'm more of like, okay, I want to be $100 million business in the next 5 years. Like how
mhm.
let's get there, right? That's where
Yeah,
my talent is. And so I put someone who is talented in sales so that I could focus on the business side of things.
yeah. So, and I love this idea, is to put people in their zone of genius, and it's amazing at what happens. when you operate in somewhere you love and you learn, or you love and you're naturally good at, I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? So like I would guarantee that, because now you're focused on getting to the goal that you want and like the big strategic vision and making it happen, you guys have moved faster than ever since then.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that was the catalyst that got us to where we are. I mean,
Mhm.
since hiring, top talent, we, like I told you, we made 3.5 million last year.
And which, for those of you who don't know, that's a lot of fucking money. Three $3.5 million. And like, I want to just touch on this too, because I think this is extremely valuable. Is anyone who's doing business at any level, if they are going to keep going up and keep moving and achieving, they're going to be vulnerable enough to say that they have things that they don't do well. You just heard Victor say that, hey, look, we don't have our processes perfectly dialed in. I guarantee you they have processes and stuff dialed in far more than like a lot of people do, but it's not to the standard that he wants it to, right? It's not to the standard where like you could franchise the model out into other people, of course, or wherever, Victor's bar is, but to have no ego to say that, hey, look, I suck at this, and to say I'm going to commit to getting better. That's the reason why you're going to keep doing better and better and better forever. So I would say
Right.
that's a big learning experience for everyone here, coming from
Well,
your.
I mean, let me speak to you from a medical perspective. So I used to, train nurses to be, nurses, for them to, apply the knowledge that they learned to actual practical real life scenarios. And I have saved so many patients that I've lost count, honestly. What I will never forget is when I would train somebody, I actually would be freaking concerned about this nurse that didn't ask questions, didn't verbalize what they were thinking, and they were like super confident. And now think about this. If someone's coming out of school and they have the sense of like, I'm not asking questions, I don't want to feel stupid, because if I ask questions, you think I'm stupid. And this like self-fulfilling prophecy is like, I think I know, but I really don't. And so then you go and try to execute and you could kill somebody. I would always be like a hawk when someone's like, nope, I know what I know what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, let's take a step back, right? So if you actually are not vulnerable, if you don't actually verbalize that you have questions, I'm more concerned about you. And that just tells us the humble nature of us humans is that we have to be vulnerable in order for us to grow. And if we're not vulnerable, we're just getting in our way. Our ego is preventing us from getting to the next level, right? And that's the thing about like the entrepreneurship and this journey that we're on is, if you think you're badass, you're this hot person that I can do everything, you're fooling yourself, right? You have to say, hey, this is what I'm really good at. This is my zone of genius. I'm not good at everything, and I have to be okay with that. And if you think you're good at everything, you're the bottleneck. You won't be able to get to the next level.
Exactly. I think that's extremely. I love that. I think it just take it super simple. It's like it's kind of like solving a problem. If there's a piece missing and what's causing the problem is like, and you see the truth, you see the entire thing. Well, then it's like easy to fix it. So it's the same thing with teaching someone. If you know exactly how they think and they feel about something, then they should feel this one part a little bit different, and that will change everything. Or that's how it's just missing that information, then that might connect all the dots and it's everything. So it's the same thing for entrepreneurs, just at a little bit larger scale, or like a
Right,
more
right.
high level. I guess it's a higher level is kind of like the better description. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but
I mean, the biggest, thing that I've learned in business is that you gotta have that sense of like, you know what, I'm wrong. And that's okay.
yep,
That's
yep.
okay.
It is. It truly is okay. And then own that, and then figure out who can help you get that right, make it right. So that's awesome. So another thing too here is you guys went pretty quick, right? So when you quit, now you guys are doing 3.5 million gross profit each year. What like, and or also you just hired that salesperson who was twice as good as you at closing those leads.
Oh,
So
she made us $2 million that year. One
That's
person. That's
that's
insane.
insane. That's actually insane. So let's talk about it. Where did you find this person? Because that's a big key thing for you.
Yeah. So we were guided to say, hey guys, let's point you in the right direction. And so we're going to do things differently moving forward. Just give it, disclaimer is just because we did it a certain way doesn't mean it's the right way, right? But the way we did it is we actually use this tool called OMG. It's Objective Management Group, and it's a phenomenal tool. I highly recommend it because this tool evaluates your salesmen or saleswomanship, right? It's not can you sell, because I could sell, you can sell, my daughter and son can sell, but will you sell? That's a different question, right? So when they said like, hey, this is what this is our offer. I'm not sure y'all take it. No, I'll never accept that. Oh, okay. All right, click, bye. It's like, no. Hold on. They said no, but you now have to have that tenacity, like, okay, let's work through this, right? That grit. And so it measures a lot of components in that process. And so the way this tool came out was it's a longitudinal study, means that it's a long period of time, and there's a really big sample size. So like 50,000 sales, reviewed 50,000 sales calls over 10 to 15 years. And as far as studies goes, that's like the cream of the crop, right? That's a really, really good study. And after doing that review, they said, look, after reviewing this many sales calls, the highly successful people had these traits. And that's what this assessment measures, is for these traits. And so what we did is we went through a couple of candidates. And of course, majority of people don't, pass that assessment. And it says this, look, if you select somebody that fails this assessment and you still hire them, they will not perform after 6 months. It's like a 92% failure rate if you go against a recommendation. So we're like, writing's on the wall. We'll listen. And, lo and behold, we got somebody that's recommended. She did sales for, 12 or 15 years. She sold like advertising to stadiums. And she was also a DJ too.
Nice.
We went through the interview process, hired her, and man, she can close. She can, sell ice and Eskimo.
So this OHM study, that's what, right? OHM, correct?
OMG, yeah.
OMG. Oh man.
Yeah.
OMG. Oh my God. Sorry, I'm typing OHM
Exactly.
in the chat.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah. Oh my God, they're so good. So basically, this study just went over the best people who can close, and then it just takes their skills and groups them together and says like you take some kind of personality test and like kind of group the skills together. I'm assuming. So like,
No, it's not personality test. This is not like a
okay.
PI assessment or DISC assessment. This is a specific assessment on, can you be sales? Will you be successful in the sales role?
Gotcha. And
Yeah.
what are some of those skills for the salesperson? Because a lot of people, that's like the hardest thing to hire, is like a good salesperson. So is there like a couple like just super basic things that if you don't have these 3 things, you're probably not going to be successful?
Oh man. I don't have that assessment in front of me.
Yeah.
But yeah, like one of the things that I talked about already is the will to sell. Not can you sell, but will you sell? That's one of them. There's like a sales DNA that they measure. They also measure your, they measure a ton of things. So I can't tell you one thing. It's a multitude of things that they grade you on.
Yeah. Gotcha. So like, yeah, that would make sense. Yeah. I'm sure it's a complex thing. Is there a place you can go and read about it? I'm assuming like just look up OMG study, sales study, and you can go and learn about it.
Yeah. So you can definitely Google it and see what it has to say. But the assessment is pretty expensive. It's $300 per assessment. We got a plan with forgot the sales. They're not a sales recruiter. They're a sales trainer company. So they train you how to hire sales, and a part of their package is this assessment that you can take or you can give out to candidates. So that's how we're able to get it. I think we pay like $7,000 or $9,000 or whatever for that seat. And then we can take it in as an unlimited number of assessments, but the money's worth it. I mean, think about it. You put $7,000 down in finding the right person, like 100% right person. And that person is going to generate you, probably I would say one of the most important seats in your company, right? Which is generating revenue. So it's a good investment. It's a good investment.
Especially if you said you're one person. Well, let's just say like from a very simple standpoint, she closed at twice the conversion rate as you did on leads.
Right.
You said 7 to 1, you were 14 to 1.
I mean, the
That's
assessment paid for itself in the one deal.
like one deal,
So
dude, literally. So do
yeah,
they like actually go and find you people, or do they just like teach you how to find good people and interview them and go through the process?
exactly. They teach you how to do it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But they
Gotcha.
don't do it for you.
Okay. Well, what is there like, do you have any like tips for hiring salespeople besides like the OMG study, like putting them through that?
Yeah. We hire through Indeed. And if you know my boy, Nick Perry, he taught me this hack. So he used to work at Indeed
Mhm.
this is how we do it. So I don't know if I should say this. I'm just going to kind of try to keep it short because it is proprietary. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, he shared it amongst a very small group of people, but there is a hack within Indeed that you can do multiple postings.
Mhm.
Um, Hit me up offline if you want to know how. But you could do multiple postings for the same position, and that's what we do. Is we put on Indeed and go through that bit. Yeah, but we're looking for different ways to find talent too. We're trying to actually now try to get talent through our network. So we're
Mhm.
trying to really build out our social media presence even further. Um, yeah, because I mean, I don't want to do any type of recruiting. I want people to come to us because they're like, oh my gosh, this company's awesome. We want to work there. So that's what we're
Mhm.
trying to get to.
Gotcha. Well, what kind of culture do you feel like you need to have for people to come and work towards you? Because like I'm assuming that you guys have a pretty solid culture. I know we talked a little bit. Like,
Yeah, we that's a really good question. I didn't really think about culture in the very beginning, and honestly, you shouldn't. When you're just grinding, you're in what I call the startup phase. Dude, trying to have process and procedures and no, don't
it
do
changes
any of
week
that.
by week, man.
Just close deals in the very beginning. Don't think about culture. Don't think about values. Just close freaking deals. But then later on, culture becomes a necessity. Like you have to have it because if you don't have it, you have it, right? That kind of thing.
Yep.
And so right now, our culture is pretty freaking awesome. I'm so proud of our culture. Every time we hire somebody, they're like, "Wow, you guys are different." We're like, "Thank you."
Don't you love that?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, a lot of folks come from this corporate background where they're just a number. For
Mhm.
us, man, we're just excited that you're here. Like, because I mean, we truly are. I mean, think about it. I mean, of all the people that we hired you. We could have hired
Mhm.
anybody, but we hired you. So there's something special about you. And we're really happy that you're here. And they sense that excitement. They sense that welcome. And we really, we go through the gamut of things for them to feel welcome. So, our interview process is pretty freaking thorough. So we have like 3 interviews before we hire them. Then we do what's called a group interview where in the department they're going to be hired, the entire department does a group interview of that person to make sure their culture fit, right?
Mhm.
And after everybody signs off, then then their decisions made to hire. And we've
So
absolutely
is that like group interview? Is it after the three? Like, do you have like what call in the interview process is that?
it's the last one. Yeah, it's the
The
last
last
one.
one.
Making sure that they're because before that we make sure their resume is good, their
Mhm.
skills are good, they're going to be a fit, and the last one is that they're going to be a culture fit, right?
Gotcha. Yeah, I
So
like that.
it's yeah, and so after we hire them, we everybody I think right now, yeah, we're still doing. Everybody actually has a tag up meeting with them because we're virtual, um,
Mhm.
and so everybody has a 15-minute tag up with them to welcome them, say hello, and our monthly, coaching, not the monthly call for the entire team. We do a
Mhm.
little presentation of, hey, this is the newest person, and so they just feel like
I
really
like that.
welcomed. Yeah,
I like that presentation, like introducing them to everyone. That's awesome.
yeah, you're not just a number here, 100%.
So
If you feel like here's my promise to my team. If you want to quit, I will pay you $1,000 to quit. Like that's my promise to my team is if you really think that you don't want to be here, I want to pay you to get out of here because I don't want
mhm.
you in this type of culture. Because I mean, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to say is like this has to be something that you really want to do. This can't be just a job for you. And so
Mhm.
if you feel like that you're just doing it for this paycheck, hey, let's give you the $1,000. You're going to save me a lot of headache. and let's send you on your way.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. So like what are some of the things you feel like you do really well to instill that culture down to every single person like in the organization where like I actually wrote it down today in my sheets. Like my job is to make everyone feel like they are special and they have a voice. Like that's like something I
Yeah.
wrote down and it kind of like sat with me. But like, but what kind of things do you feel like you do well for your team to help build that culture all the way around?
The biggest thing is like everybody can talk a big game, right?
Mhm.
Everybody can say, I'm the best, I'm the coolest, this and that. It's just talk. Really where the rubber meets the road is action. So I think we do a really good job of not just having the culture by leading by example, right? So our culture is this, like we are a team, period. It goes mission, team, individual in exactly that order. So if somebody thinks that they're better than the team or they're better than the mission, they know their place. That's not how we do
Mhm.
things. And we all lead by example. Me first and foremost, if I'm not doing that, I tell people, call me out on it. We're an open door policy where like feedback is required. It's not nice to have. It's like, hey, you have to be okay with receiving feedback, and that just kind of puts everybody on a like, oh, okay, I don't have to be perfect. Like,
Mhm.
so yeah, I would say just leading by example is the biggest thing you could do for a culture.
Yep. I like that. I think also like and by feedback being required, hitting on that point is like asking people's opinion is such a shock to most people who come and work with you. They're not used to that, especially if they worked in like corporate. It's like you just go do
Yeah.
this. But it's like, what do you think about this? And like it's like me asking like one of our like texters, like, what do you think about this? And they're like, well, I never even gotten asked that before, like anywhere else. I remember that was like a major shock to me. But that's like at
Yeah.
least for like our culture, that's like one of the biggest things I hear too is like you guys actually like listen. So I think that's a
Right.
I'm sure that's something you
Yeah.
guys do as well. Really good at. So um,
Yeah, right on, right. We want people to be not just present, but they want them, I mean, I guess we want them to be present, but what I'm trying to say is, if they feel like they can't speak up, I mean, they're not going to last long, right?
yeah,
They're human beings. They have feelings. They want to contribute. So having a sense of voice is important.
yeah, for sure. That's awesome. So what other things like do you feel like were super pivotal and you kind of going from so you hired the salesperson who's extremely good. So that was an extremely pivotal point in your guys' business. What is there another like thing that really stands out that kind of revolutionary not maybe not revolutionized but like really changed your business like the direction it was headed?
I mean, yeah, it was really to get out of our own way. That was
Mhm.
really the thing that got us to the next level. Is hey, you're not the best that you think that you are. Let your ego go. Take on that risk to hire someone to do the closings for you. Um, so I would say like if someone's just starting on their business, I think this is probably the best level of progression that you can have is first go on appointments, period. Take the calls, learn the process, learn enough so you can delegate. Emphasis on learn enough, not everything. You don't have to be perfect. Learn enough to delegate. Delegate that intake, right? To someone else. Go on the appointments, the top appointments yourself, right? And from that, hire out someone to take appointments for you so you can do the dispo, right? And then once you learn the dispo process, hire someone out to do that, right? And it's this constant level of progression you're taking. So for me, that's what the thing that I was missing in the very beginning is I didn't follow that. Wasn't really aware of like that progression. I was just doing things just to do it, kind of just I mean, taking massive imperfect action is what it was. But I mean, it got me here. But if I had that streamlined process of like, okay, learn enough to move on to the next position, learn enough to move to the next position, that would have definitely got me there. And that's what really has really helped me a lot is, get out of that sales role, get someone who's better at that thing than I am, so that I
Mhm.
can move on to the next thing. And I
Yeah.
would say the other thing is marketing, right? You have to, dude, I get this question all the time. And it drives me nuts now because it's like the same question. Everybody's like, man, I want to make $100,000 a month. I'm like, great. That's awesome. That's really, really good. How much are you spending on marketing? well, I'm spending, I'm just, driving for dollars right now.
$500.
Sorry?
I'm spending $500 a month.
Exactly. Like, hold on a second. You want to make $100,000, but you're driving for dollars. You're calling Craigslist, or, you're spending $1,000 to $500 a month. Dude, no. I mean, a really, really good marketing channel will give you 5x, right? So you put $5, you put $1 in, and it gives you $5 out. So if you want to make $100,000 a month, you have to put $20,000 in every single month, not just 1 month, every single month. I'm not saying to start out at 20 grand a month. I'm saying is if you want to make 100,000 a month, that's what you have to spend eventually, right? Slowly progress to spending 20K a month on marketing so you can make 100,000, in revenue.
Yeah.
So
I think
that would be my other advice.
Yeah. I think ROI is a super awesome thing to keep track of. Just make sure if you, as you start spending more on marketing, you're segmenting out like, this is what I spend on, texting, cold calling, maybe Facebook ads or whatever, and then know how much revenue each one gives you at the minimum. So you can look back at a longer time period and you can see, oh, well, I spent $10,000 last quarter and I made, 50, or I made 100, or whatever your ROI is, right? And Victor's right, a 5x ROI on most channels is spectacular. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, you guys are doing pretty good with your marketing too, though, right?
yeah, we're doing pretty solid right now. We're getting helped a lot by our deal size. So our ROI is getting boosted.
Nice.
And that's another thing. It's like a whole other concept. It's like the bigger the deal you do, usually the better your ROI is, because you work the same amount for one deal.
Yeah.
That's $5,000, or one deal that's $50,000. You pretty much do the same amount of work. You may just be a little bit more stressed in your first 50K deal than your first 5K deal.
That's true. I mean, yeah. But we all have to, do a base hit here and there, right? You can't get all
you got to
home
get the
runs.
base hits. No, for sure.
Yeah.
But just for us, like, that's why we're getting helped out a little bit. The market's pretty sweet right now. So,
It is.
But yeah, so it's super, super crazy. But yeah, that's awesome. So what, like, if you were to start over, like, would you start with Facebook ads, or would you would you go cold calling? Like, I know you guys are mostly digital.
Man, yeah.
Where would you hit?
So before I answer that question, I think the discussion for digital marketing is really important. There's a lot of folks that, hear about Facebook. They talk about, Google and the other platforms. I think when you're first starting out, they're too expensive, because when you're first starting out, what you're doing is you're paying tuition. And what I mean by paying tuition is you're paying to learn the thing that you're trying to do. There's a reason why college is so freaking expensive, because it costs a lot of money to learn that skill set. Same thing with real estate. There's a price to pay to learn. So why would I pay a Harvard bill when I could, pay a community college bill and learn the same thing? That's the thing. So for me, I don't recommend, if you're just starting out, I don't recommend Facebook. I don't recommend Google unless you already know how to do it, unless you're already good at that. Especially with SEO, no one starting out should ever do SEO. It's so freaking complicated, and it will absolutely give you a result, because our SEO is like a 10x channel. Yeah, it's a 10x channel.
I believe it. It's probably, and that ROI is headed up too.
Over time, yeah. I mean, it's the thing that I say, like, when is the best time to plant a tree? 10 years ago. When's the best time to start SEO? 10 years ago, right? That kind of thing. But that's not where you need to start, because it's not going to feed you. In the beginning, what you want to do is going back to paying that little tuition to learn the most, right? Get that community college, bill for that Harvard knowledge. And so start with cold calling, start with texting. Those are the lowest barrier of entries out there. Some people would say mail marketing. I'd say, actually, I think cold calling is cheaper. You're going to get that repetition. You're going to get that reps in. So if I were to do this all over again, this is what I would do. I kid you not. I would hire 3 cold callers from a company. The reason I would do 3 is because of choices. When you have one choice, that's not really a choice. When you have two, you really have a dilemma. When you have three, now you have choices. So I would actually go with 3 cold callers so that I could be like, hey, these are 3 potential people that I want to keep on, and probably I'll let go of one because they're not going to perform, most likely. I mean, those are the odds, right? For them all to be highly performing is very doubtful, and it just it spreads the risk. So that I would start with 3. I would review their calls every single day. They would cold call for me and only submit me leads. I would review their calls every single day, provide them coaching, so making sure that they're saying the right things. And I'm only speaking to the highly qualified leads, right? That's how I would do that. So, if you're cold calling yourself, you're really paying yourself $4 an hour or $5 an hour, because that's how much a cold caller costs. So hire someone out. And from that, I would slowly grow. But I would stack cash, right? And by stacking cash, so that, hey, I can then hire somebody to be in that position to overtake my leads for my appointments. So that would be my best advice for anybody starting out.
Yeah, I like that. Get those leads flowing in. Another like good thing that I heard once, I can't remember who told. I think it was Ryan Huber. He said that someone gave him the advice of, once you get 100 leads, you can't have an excuse of why you don't have a deal. So until you get to 100 leads, that's when you should maybe reach out to ask for some help, because that's when you probably have enough opportunities to make something happen. So I think that's some pretty decent advice. It's like, you got to go hard until you get 100 leads and figure it out. It's gonna be, you're gonna catch your lumps, that's for sure. So.
Well, the other thing is, I also want to quantify what lead means. Lead actually means, I have a house to sell, I'm interested in selling. That's a lead to me. So a lead to me doesn't mean, hey, I called you, you don't have a house to sell. That's not a lead.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure. I agree with Victor, 100%. Yeah. They got to have a house, and they got to be some level of interest of selling it, even if they say, I'll sell it for the right price if you give me $250,000 more than what it's worth.
For us, I would say that's a lead. I would say that's a lead. That's, dude, put that sucker on follow up.
That's a lead. That's a lead for us. That's what I was trying. I might have said it wrong. I might have mixed my words up. I was trying to say that is a lead, not even those guys are leads. So don't be discouraged, because we're getting another interesting thing too. Is like, I'm sure you see this all the time, Victor, is we're getting deals from leads that are literally 600 plus days old that are turning to contracts. Like, they've been in our system for 2 years, and now they're turning into a deal. So just because they are there today doesn't mean they won't be there tomorrow. So, or not there today, they won't be. They might be there tomorrow. You never know. Time changes everything. So we got a few minutes left here, Victor. Someone asked a while ago, what markets are you in? And I guess
what markets we're in? Washington State primarily. We definitely do deals in Oregon. It's definitely turned out to be a better market than I thought. And we do Hawaii. So we don't do Hawaii like intensely, but we definitely get like a couple deals here and there. Stay away from Hawaii. I love it.
Hawaii's got the big deals, I'm sure, dude. The purchase price up there is nice. That's awesome. So Victor, we got a couple minutes left. Think about what you want to leave the listeners with. I really enjoyed having you on, dude. It's a great time always. So I look forward to next Collective Genius, where we get to chop it up some more, and maybe we'll go play golf again. That'll be fun.
Yeah. So I guess the thing that I'd like maybe to impart on people that are listening is, leaders are readers. The cheapest education that you could ever get is reading. I mean, so the rule of thumb is like, someone has to have a decade worth of experience to write a book. That kind of speaks a lot of volume. I mean, like, I'm not talking about the crappy books that nobody reads. I'm talking about the good ones that get tons of Amazon reviews. So that's 10 years worth of knowledge in one book. You can save yourself a lot of heartache by reading. And that also helps to work on your mindset. I started out with a very poor mindset, very, very poor, but only literally, I mean it, only through reading did I change to be the person I am today. I was not born this way, right? I I became this person. I groomed this person that I am today. And reading books was a massive part of it. But the other caveat is I don't want people to think like, I need to read 60 books a year because CEOs, I've heard read 60 books a year. Well, great. I'm glad you're reading 60 books, but are you applying that knowledge that's in that book, right? I would rather you read one book a year, apply every single thing, than read 60 books and apply barely anything. So my rule of thumb is read at least one book a month, right? So, but no more than like 15 or 16 books a year, because it takes quite a bit of time to actually implement the principles in there. I mean, it's pretty robust.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's amazing advice. So I'm taking it myself. I hadn't read a book in probably like since I was like 18, and I've read 6 in the last like 4 or 5 months. And the books are actually surprisingly pretty entertaining, and they also teach you a lot of stuff. So I know it's crazy. Like who would have ever thought a book would educate you? But it's the truth.
Right. Oh, that's too funny. Yeah,
that's awesome. So Victor, I appreciate it, man. Just right before we go, I want to give a thank you for everyone who showed up to mine and Gino's event down in Atlanta. We had I think it was about like 70 to 80 people there. Showed up to see Stephanie Betters give a presentation on how to build a business with systems, and it was phenomenal. So we're going to be posting that up on YouTube. So if you missed it, you can check it out. Sometime in April, we will be having another event where you guys can hopefully come out to Atlanta. We'll be posting on our social media. So if you're not following, just make sure you give us a follow, and we'll see you guys there. So appreciate y'all coming. Thank you, Victor.
All right. Take care.